38 years ago, on an island that no longer exists, a battle took place that would reshape the entire world. An event so catastrophic, so threatening to the world government's image, that it was completely erased from history. This is the story of the God Valley incident. Before we dive into God Valley itself, we need to understand the world that existed before it. This was an era where the seas were ruled by a crew so terrifying, so powerful that even the world government trembled at their approach. The Rocks Pirates, formed over 44 years ago on Hachinosu, the pirate island, by a man named Gol D. Xebec. But here's what makes this crew truly legendary. Rocks didn't just recruit pirates, he conquered them. Through Davy back fights, he forced the most powerful individuals of his era to join his banner. And what a roster it was. Edward Newgate, the man who would become Whitebeard, possessor of the Quake fruit, arguably the strongest paramecia in existence. At 36 years old during God Valley, he was already a monster. Charlotte Linlin, Big Mom herself. At 30, she was a force of nature. Kaido, just 21 years old, but already demonstrating the monstrous strength that would one day earn him the title World's Strongest Creature. Shiki the Golden Lion, a pirate who would later become powerful enough to rival Roger himself. Captain John, the treasure-obsessed pirate whose greed would eventually lead to his own crew's mutiny. Gloriosa, the former empress of Amazon Lily who left her island due to the legendary lovesickness. Buckingham Stussy, scientist and mother of Edward Weevil, the spitting image of her clone. Wang Ji, or Ochoku, who would later take control of Hachinosu for decades before Blackbeard's rise. Silveraxe, Barbell, Streusen, and countless other notorious figures. This wasn't a crew united by loyalty or dreams. They were held together by one thing: Rox's overwhelming power and ambition. But Rox himself? He was something else entirely. His full name? Davy D. Xebec. He was a descendant of the near-extinct Davy family, the bloodline of the mythical pirate Davy D. Jones. He believed that Davy Jones was once the king of the world, a title that predates the world government itself. This wasn't just ambition, this was inheritance. Rox's goal was to reclaim what he believed was his birthright, to become king of the world. And this dream put him on a collision course with the true ruler hiding in the shadows, Emu. But here's the twist that makes Rox's story truly tragic. He wasn't just a conqueror seeking power. He was a husband. He was a father. His wife? Eris, a woman he met around 40 years ago. His son, Marshall D. Teach, the future Blackbeard, one of the current 4 emperors. And Rox had hidden them on an island he thought was safe from the world government's eyes. That island was God Valley. Now we come to the darkest secret of the world nobles, the native hunting competition. Every 3 years, the Celestial Dragons organized a barbaric event. They would select an island unaffiliated with the world government, round up its entire population, and hunt them for sport. The rules were simple and sadistic. Each civilian killed earned points. Rare and super rare targets were worth more. Single hit kills earned bonuses. Noble families competed for the highest scores, and the results were used for gambling among the elite. And the prizes? The most coveted treasures in the world. 40 years before the present, Figarland Garling, a knight of God and future 5 elder, discovered God Valley. He learned of its vast resources and discovered a secret. The Davy family was hiding there. 1 year before the incident, Garling did something unforgivable. 39 years ago, his lover gave birth to twins, Shamrock and Shanks. 38 years ago, Garling returned to God Valley. When he learned he was a father to twins, he was amused, then immediately stabbed their mother. His eyes were already set on the grand prize of the competition. The treasures assembled for this hunt were extraordinary. Shaki, the former Kuja Empress, considered the most beautiful woman in the world at the time. She had been kidnapped from Hachinosu at Garling's request to serve as the grand prize. The fish fruit model dragon, a mythical zoan that would later make Kaido the world's strongest creature. The pawpaw fruit that would one day make Bartholomew Kuma the ultimate self-sacrificing hero. The competition targeted approximately 100,000 people people as rabbits. Among them were 150 rare and 13 super rare targets. The Buccaneer race member Kuma was marked as super rare. Around 200 celestial dragons participated, including at least 7 members of the Knights of God. The hunt was broadcast live to Mary Geos for other world nobles to watch. But the celestial dragons made a fatal miscalculation. A slave named Ginny managed to leak information about the event to the outside world. The news reached a young journalist named Morgans, who, despite initially requesting hush money from Cypher Pole, leaked the information to Hachinosu. The Rocks pirates received the transmission. Rocks himself didn't care about Shocky or the prizes. He had only one objective: rescue his wife Eris and his son Teach, who he had hidden among the island's population. His crew, however, had different motivations. Whitebeard wanted to save Shocky. Others wanted the devil fruits and treasures, but they all set sail for God Valley. The Roger pirates also learned of the event. Silver's Rayleigh had personal reasons to rescue Shocky, so the Roger crew raced to reach the island first. And when Fleet Admiral Kong learned that the Rocks pirates were heading to God Valley, he dispatched reinforcements. Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp was ordered to confront Roger. But what no one anticipated was that all these forces would converge on the same island at the same time, creating the perfect storm.
The native hunting competition was already underway when chaos erupted. Garling, impatient as ever, had already slain the King of God Valley before the starting signal, earning himself a penalty of negative 10,000 points. Then, the pirates came. The Rocks pirates invaded from the south. The Roger pirates invaded from the north. Other pirate crews joined the chaos from all sides. The station marines were completely outnumbered and unprepared. Their morale only recovered when Garp arrived with reinforcements. The Knights of God were immediately dispatched to protect and evacuate the celestial dragons, but they quickly split up to fulfill individual objectives. Hidden among the marine forces was a 17-year-old sailor who would one day become the world government's greatest enemy, Monkey D. Dragon. Dragon witnessed the truth of the native hunting competition, and something inside him broke. While his superiors tried to silence his questions, Dragon made a choice. He found the dying mother of the Figarland twins, stabbed by her own lover. With her last breath, she begged Dragon to save her children from Garling. Dragon took both infants and ran for the coast. But Saint Maffy, a knight of God, tracked him down. She seriously wounded Dragon, causing him to drop one of the babies. Maffy recovered Shamrock for Garling, but at that moment, Whitebeard intervened. His attack cut Maffy in half, though her immortality allowed her to survive. In the chaos, she fled, believing Dragon was dead. She never noticed that Dragon had managed to escape with the other twin. The twin brothers were separated forever. One would become a celestial dragon and commander of the Knights of God. The other would be raised by pirates and become one of the 4 emperors. While the island descended into war, Roger's right-hand man had a mission. Silver's Rayleigh and Scopper Gabbin fought their way to where Shocky was being held. Marines attempted to claim her, but Shocky, even while chained, defeated them all. When Summers, a Knight of God, tried to kill her, Rayleigh arrived just in time. He cut down Summers and rescued Shocky, beginning the legendary love story that would span decades. Meanwhile, 2 slaves saw their chance. Bartholomew Kuma and Emporio Ivankov used the chaos to infiltrate the prize vault. They stole 2 devil fruit chests, the fish fruit model dragon and the pawpaw fruit. But they weren't alone. Charlotte Linlin ambushed them. She seized the fish fruit from Ivankov's hands. Kuma managed to eat the pawpaw fruit, and what he did next defines his character. He used his new powers to save over 500 people from the native hunting competition, teleporting victims to safety, including Ginny, Ivankov, and eventually even Rox's own wife and child. The situation in God Valley was spiraling out of control. In the Holy Land, Emu, the true ruler of the world, contacted J. Garcia Saturn to check on Rox's status. When Emu learned that Rox was still alive and that something worse might be unleashed if the chaos continued, they made a decision. Emu would descend to God Valley personally.
Possessing Saturn's monstrous body, Emu arrived on the battlefield and began killing indiscriminately, pirates and marines alike. When Rox finally confronted Emu, the exchange revealed the ancient truth. Rox mocked them. "Do you fear Davy Jones more or Joy Boy?" Emu's response was pure rage. They claimed Jones was never a king, that both he and Joy Boy would never return, as long as Xebec and his entire family were extinguished. The battle began. What happened next has no parallel in One Piece history. An impossible alliance formed. Rox D. Xebec, Gol D. Roger, Monkey D. Garp, Edward Newgate, Charlotte Linlin, Kaido. The greatest powers of the era united against a common enemy. Their combined combined assault was devastating, but when the dust settled, Emu stood unharmed. And as they reformed themselves, Emu revealed something that shattered Rox completely. "I've found them. Your wife, your son." Rox lost control. In his desperation to protect his family, he charged directly at Emu and fell into their trap. Emu's tendrils pierced Rox's body, and then came the words that sealed his fate. "You will be the one who wipes out your entire clan." Dami Reversi, Emu's ultimate technique. It creates a demonic contract, forcing the target into the abyss and transforming them into a demon. The victim gains overwhelming power and immortality, but loses all reason, becoming a puppet of Emu's will. Rox tried to resist. His willpower was legendary. He even managed to taunt Emu while fighting the transformation, but it wasn't enough. His body warped, his fangs grew, his eyes became flames. The greatest pirate of his era became a monster forced to hunt his own family. His first command: kill Eris and Teach. Demon Rox was unstoppable. He defeated Big Mom. He defeated Kaido. He destroyed entire sections of the island with single attacks. Whitebeard managed to block one strike, but the impact annihilated the left peak of God Valley entirely. Eris and young Teach ran through the forest, unaware of what was hunting them. When Demon Rox found them, Eris was horrified. She blamed herself for forcing her husband to rescue her. With no other choice, she grabbed Teach and tried to swim away. Marine ships guarding the coastline opened fire. Rox was closing in. Cannonballs were falling. It seemed impossible for the mother and child to survive. Then, Bartholomew Kuma appeared. Using his pawpaw fruit, Kuma teleported Eris and Teach off of God Valley to safety, saving the future Emperor of the Sea from his own father. With his family apparently dead, Emu ordered Rox to kill everyone remaining on the island. But as Rox charged toward the surviving fighters, something extraordinary happened. Roger and Garp both heard a voice in their heads. Through the voice of all things, Rox, still conscious somewhere beneath the demonic corruption, was crying, begging, "Kill me, please, before I hurt anyone else." Roger and Garp saw the tears streaming down the demon's face even as his body moved to destroy them, and they made their choice. Roger turned to Garp. "If you want to quit the Marines after this, I'll welcome you on my ship." Garp refused. "If I leave, there'll be no one left to protect the weaker Marines." But for now, they were allies. They fought Rox together, but their hockey-infused attacks did nothing. Every strike was canceled by Rox's own Conqueror's Haki. The demon form had amplified his already monstrous power. The clash released waves of Supreme King Haki that split the sky over God Valley. Both Roger and Garp were blown into the mountains, badly wounded, but they got back up. Roger removed his cloak. Garp did the same. They both understood what had to be done. Roger explained, "Armament Haki can counter Devil Fruit abilities, but Conqueror's Haki cancels out other Conqueror's Haki. The only way to break through Rox's defense was to increase the mass of their combined Supreme King Haki beyond what he could nullify. One attack, everything they had. If it failed, they would have nothing left." Garp agreed. Roger unleashed God of Fire Ace, his sword blazing with dense Haki, striking again and again. Garp unleashed Infinitum Explosion, his fists flying in a barrage that resembled Luffy's future Gatling techniques, each punch coated in Conqueror's Haki. The combined assault was overwhelming, and finally, Rox D. Xebec fell. The dark energy of Dami Reversi began seeping from his body. The demon was defeated, but the man inside had one final moment of clarity. His last words, "Roger, Garp, run." But the story doesn't end there. As Roger and Garp collapsed from exhaustion, three figures arrived at the scene: Garling, Figarland, Summers, Maffei. The Knights of God had waited for their moment. Rox was still alive, barely, struggling to breathe, perhaps still hoping his family had escaped. Garling didn't hesitate. He drew his sword and plunged it into Rox's body, making sure the legendary pirate was truly dead.
With Rox dead, Emu, still possessing Saturn's body, gave one final order. All records of God Valley were to be destroyed. The names of the inhabitants, the location of the island, its size, the number of casualties, everything was to be purged by Cypher Pole 6 and Marine Base G11. And then God Valley itself began to sink. No buster call, no laser from the sky. The island simply collapsed into the ocean, as if it had never existed. The Rox pirates were finished. Shiki officially declared the crew disbanded. The former crewmates grabbed whatever treasures they could and fled. Linlin yelled at Kaido about the lifetime debt he owed her for the stolen devil fruit. Kaido brushed her off, claiming he won it fair and square. He declared his intention to build a crew where only power and brutality mattered. Linlin, already planning her own empire, left with Streusen and the remaining treasure. Whitebeard encountered a pirate named Polo Graham, likely Marco the Phoenix's father, given their similar appearance. Gloriosa asked Scopper Gabon if she could hitch a ride with the Roger pirates. Stussy, Ganzui, Gilbaster, and others scattered to the winds, each carrying pieces of the Rox legacy into the new era. Aboard the Oro Jackson, the Roger pirates opened their plundered treasures. Inside one chest, they found something unexpected: a baby with red hair, Shanks.
ranks. Roger adopted the child, raised him aboard his ship, taught him everything he knew about the sea. The son of Figarland Garland became the apprentice of the pirate king. Monkey D. Dragon was arrested for his actions during the incident, insubordination for prioritizing civilian lives over orders. In prison, his father came to visit. Their exchange was brutal and brief. Dragon declared, "I'm quitting the Marines." Garp said nothing. Then, Dragon added, "I despise you." Their relationship was shattered, but Garp, for the first time in his life, broke his own code. He freed Dragon from prison. This moment marked the beginning of the man who would found the Revolutionary Army and become the world's most wanted criminal. When Garp awakened after the battle, he learned something infuriating. Young Morgans, just 15 years old, had been silenced with hush money from the world government. But the story that emerged gave Garp full credit for defeating Rox, the hero of the Marines. Garp hated it. He had seen the truth of the native hunting competition. He had witnessed the celestial dragon's atrocities. He knew that he and Roger had given Rox a mercy killing, not a heroic victory. This is why Garp refuses to become an admiral to this day. Accepting promotion would mean serving directly under the celestial dragons, the same monsters who orchestrated God Valley. News of the Rox pirates' disbandment spread across the world. Citizens everywhere celebrated. The most terrifying pirate crew in history was gone. The seas felt safer, but the information was incomplete, censored, manipulated. No one knew about the native hunting competition. No one knew about Emu. No one knew about the true heroes and villains of that day. The God Valley incident ended, but its echoes shaped everything that followed. Gol D. Roger would become the pirate king, reaching Laugh-Tale with knowledge gained partly from this era. Monkey D. Garp would remain a vice admiral forever, haunted by what he witnessed. Monkey D. Dragon would build the Revolutionary Army to tear down the world government. Marshall D. Teach would become Blackbeard, carrying his father's dream of standing at the top of the world and possibly his hatred for the Figarland family who murdered Rox. Charlotte Linlin and Kaido would become emperors themselves, their rivalry born from a stolen devil fruit. Edward Newgate would create a family of pirates, eventually taking in Blackbeard, the son of his former captain. This is the complete story of the God Valley incident.